Today, for a few moments, I want to talk about how to inherit a blessing. Everywhere we go in society, we live in a culture that is a culture that's seeking revenge, demands revenge, retribution, retaliation. We want to get compensated for any alleged wrongdoing or evil against us. Instead of a world defined by revenge, Christians are called to a higher standard. That we can't use the world's standard to define our behavior. That Christ was the example that they should follow. So when you get to chapter 1, Peter let them know that they were born into a living hope. Pastor preached this just a few weeks ago, that we have a hope that's living. Why? Because of Christ's resurrection, that we have an inheritance that's undefiled and incorruptible awaiting us in heaven. And he says, because of that living hope, he goes on to say in chapter 1, because you have living hope, now you must have holy living. And he was writing it to people who were suffering because of Christ. And the evil he was talking about is governments that are against God. And so he's saying you need to now be able to stand for God, even in the face of persecution when the government says otherwise. He says you follow government authority. He says you even follow the bosses that you have at work. Here's the first point. If you want to learn how to inherit a blessing, is the first thing is that you have to have like-minded love. We must be, as Christians, like-minded. This is the unity of God's people, but it does not mean that we are all the same. Let me give you a couple examples to try to help you understand how we can be like-minded, but we're not all the same. They sing the same songs, but they sing different notes. That they are with one accord in one body, but they're not all the same. Couple other examples to make it clear. The cells in your body, the cells that are in your body, the cells that are in your hand are different from the cells that are in your feet. But every cell in your body has the same DNA. When we take on the mind of Christ, we will begin to treat people the way that Jesus treated people. How did Jesus treat people? He treated people with compassion. Look at the text. Finally, my brother, be you all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren. Here's the thing. When Jesus encountered people, he encountered them with compassion. Didn't matter who they were, where they came from, what their issue was, what problem they had. He treated them with compassion. And Jesus, moved with compassion, put forth his hand and touched them and said unto them, I will, be thou clean. That we need to learn how to treat people with compassion. Are we tenderhearted and sensitive to the needs of others? It is what God requires of us, that we now show compassion. And it's really, truly how we are defined. That is the love that we demonstrate when we are like-minded one to another, loving each other as brethren, having compassion, having pity, being courteous to one another. When we have a like-minded love, that puts us in position to inherit a blessing. Blessing is because a lot of times people think about blessing from a material standpoint. That it's cars, it's houses, it's clothes, it's money. But here's the blessing that you can understand, because it says in that text that God won't be against you. Because if you are evil, the text says the Lord turns his face against those who do evil. So if God is against you, there is nobody who could be for you. So the blessing is that God is with me. And if God is on my side and God is with me, it doesn't matter if the whole world is against me. If God is with me, when I need healing, I can call on him. Why? Because he's Jehovah Rapha. He's the God that heals me. If I need a friend, I can call on him. Why? Because he's Jehovah Shammah, the God that'll be right there with me. If I need resources and supply, I can call on him. Why? Because he's Jehovah Jireh, the God that will see to it. If I'm disturbed in my mind, I can call on him. Why? Because he's Jehovah Shalom, the God that'll give me peace. I'm glad that God's on my side. Why? Because he's a protector. He's a provider. He's a healer, and he forgives. Why? Because he's unparalleled. He's unprecedented. He sustains, he strengthens, and he guides. Are you on his side? Is God on your side? If you do what God calls you to do, that's the blessing.